A young John Bennett gets a childhood wish granted when his teddy bear comes to life. Though the two remain the closest of friends, adulthood gets in the way of their relationship and personal lives, especially with Ted's disastrous antics. The film opens with John Bennett, an 80-year-old Boston native who gets picked on even by the kids that also get picked on.
That's rough, buddy.
Christmas rolls around and our friendless protagonist gets a teddy bear as a present, naming him Ted. Yeah, not very creative.
Not a creative color.
John and his stuffed animal become inseparable, even bringing Ted in bed, wishing he were alive so they could be BFFs. As it turns out, a higher power out there had some spare time and decided to grant little John Bennett his wish. Call it a Christmas miracle, huh?
It's a Christmas miracle.
The next morning, John wakes up without Ted around. Confused, he searches around the house when he meets fully alive, fully speaking Ted. Excited, John hurries to tell his parents the great news, who originally don't take it all too well, screaming as they see the talking plush, as anyone would, to be honest.
Merry Christmas, everybody!
Jesus H. Fuck!
They tell John to get away from the bear as they scream in sheer terror. Finally noticing Ted's harmless nature, the parents calm down. As time goes on, Ted's inexplicable aliveness goes public, quickly garnering attention as a celebrity. Cool.
Cool.
As Ted continues on his rise to fame, his bond with John grows stronger, becoming Thunder Buddies for life, as they are both scared of thunder.
Nice.
We then make a quick stop to another boy, Donnie, a kid around John's age who asks his dad for a talking teddy bear, who drunkenly dismisses and berates him. 27 years later, Ted and John are as close as ever, smoking weed together and sharing an apartment. How cute! Ted, who is no longer the big shot celebrity he once was, talks about girls, drugs, and even Flash Gordon. As John listens and excitedly reciprocates the conversation. That said, it's impossible not to notice how Ted went from an innocent, adorable bear to a walking stuffed disaster. As the pair smokes, John realizes he's late for work and rushes to get ready. However, due to partaking in the devil's lettuce, John feels unfit to drive. Ted, on the other hand, is very much up to the task. As the bear and John hurry away, Ted not so gracefully arrives to their destination, damaging a car in the process. Hey, damaging just one car when you're just a stuffed animal is pretty impressive though, not gonna lie. Upon John's arrival to work, the manager, Thomas, scolds him for being late, telling him that his only job is to not screw up, as he will have Thomas's position soon enough. He asks John for more responsibility and lets him get back to work. This doesn't last too long though, as he's soon back in John's couch, watching Flash Gordon and getting high with Ted. Your usual afternoon. There, we are introduced to Lori, John's longtime girlfriend, where it's revealed that the three room together, despite Lori's successful career. Later that same night, Lori and John discuss their dinner plans for the next evening for the celebration of their 4-year anniversary. Just as they are about to get it on, or nasty as they put it, a thunder booms nearby, causing John, who is 35 by the way, to cower in fear as Ted bursts through the door where they sing the iconic Thunder Buddies song.
Grab your Thunder Buddy and say these magic words.
The next morning, Lori arrives to work, opening up about her relationship problems, as her 35-year-old man still can't sleep through a thunderstorm and still has his childhood teddy bear.
That makes sense to me.
Her co-workers blame the bear and encourage her to leave him, but she says she loves him still and he's also the hottest man in Boston.
Fair enough.
Interrupting their girl talk, Lori's boss Rex asks her to see him in his office, where her boss begins to flirt with her and attempt non-work conversation. Lori presses Rex to let her go back to work and to leave her be if it's not work-related talks. We cut back to John and Lori and it's their anniversary dinner, where they talk and reminisce about their first time they met, each having a rather different retelling. As the night progresses, John gives Lori a small box, making her eyes instantly light up. Unfortunately for Lori though, it's just a box with some earrings from the kiosk she liked.
That's too damn bad!
Ouch. John better take some word of advice from Beyoncé and put a ring on it. Thankfully though, when he notices her disappointment, as it's clearly not what she had hoped for, John promises he will eventually give her a ring. Just not when the money is tight. Laurie agrees but asks for a compromise. Ted has to move out. John, though visibly devastated to have to kick his teddy best friend out, he recognizes they might need some time for themselves as well. In order to ease the tension, John cracks a few jokes and finally earns a smile from the lovely Laurie. Victory! Victory! As the couple arrives home, John notices his phone is missing, staying behind in the car as he looks for it. Meanwhile, Laurie decides to go upstairs, first where she encounters a not-so-pleasant surprise. Our playboy Ted called for hookers and had them over, getting the apartment dirty in all sorts of ways. And when we say all sorts of ways, we mean it. Even crap.
They're hookers, so it's fine.
Whoa, you sure know how to party, Ted. Rightfully so, Laurie becomes hysteric about the ladies of the night and the mess she encountered. Finally, John emerges and is also shocked and appalled about the mess, which catches Ted off guard.
Adam, this is the most uncomfortable situation ever.
After this embarrassing encounter, John gets his big boy pants and decides to have a very much necessary chat with Ted. John explains that Laurie and him need some alone time, and with Ted around, they can't really have it. Plus, the scene from the night before didn't really play in Ted's favor. Heartbroken, Ted attempts to dissuade John, telling him it was a rough night for everyone involved, but mostly Laurie, as she was the one who cleaned the mess. Though ambivalent and saddened about letting his friend go, John puts his foot down and tells Ted he has to find a place for his own. However, not wanting to lose his lifelong teddy bear friend, John promises they will see each other just as often. Thunder buddies for life, right?
I know, and we'll hang out all the time, right? All the time. Bring it in. Come here. Bring it in, you bastard. Come on.
Ultimately, Ted agrees. The next day, we see John hyping Ted up for his grocery store interview, where he hopes, not really, to be hired as a cashier. During the interview, Ted does his best in order to not get the job, insulting the interviewer and not answering any of his questions. Amused over the bear's unpredictable behavior and the fact that he has never been treated so poorly, Ted is instantly hired.
Nobody's ever talked to me like that before. You're hired.
Shit.
To each their own, right? After the interview, Ted and John decide to head to the park to get into the usual shenanigans they do. Devil's lettuce, of course. Unfortunately for the pair, we encounter Donnie, all grown up, the boy who also wanted a talking teddy. Now with a kid, Donnie asks John how much he's selling Ted for.
You talking to me?
Offended, John and Ted establish that he is not for sale and are noticeably appalled over such a question. Donnie doesn't pay too much mind to their response though, giving John his info card in case he changed his mind.
Oh man, you're creeping me out.
John took it and sarcastically told Donnie he put it in his very important pocket with very important stuff. Awkwardly, Donnie and his son walked away. The same evening, John helps Ted with moving, and once they're done, they part ways for the very first time in their lives. Excuse me while I shed a tear. Ted is then seen working at the grocery store as a cashier, where he first lays eyes on the new employee and inappropriately attempts flirting with her. Luckily for our favorite stuffed animal, he charmed his way into landing a date. Once his shift is over, Ted returns home and invites John to smoke some of the Great J. John initially declines as he is still at work and is trying to be better for Laurie, but Ted promises he will kick him out in 5 minutes, and John agrees. Well, that didn't take too much convincing. Our leading man makes an elaborate excuse and his boss lets John go. Once again, the pair partakes in their activities without a care in the world. Sometime later, Ted is promoted and dating Tammy Lynn, seemingly getting his life together. Ted and John arrange a double date with their respective sweethearts. At said double date, however, things get a little too awkward.
You remember the other day I was saying how great Laurie's hair always looks.
And intense, causing the night to quickly turn sour, as Tammy Lynn takes offense to anything Laurie says, finally deciding to storm out of the restaurant.
And you better never
show your face around Quincy. Hear me?
Okay, come on.
Following the fiasco, John and Lori head to an office party at Rex's place. As they enter Rex's luxurious mansion, Lori's boss gives John a condescending tour of the place, leaving Lori to chat with her co-workers. Taking advantage of having Rex alone, John tells him, man to man, that he hopes he gets Lou Gehrig's disease. That's intense.
That's a lot of damage.
Rex spills out some lame excuses but is interrupted by John's ringtone. Can you guess who's calling? John picks up and Ted is absolutely fangirling over the fact that Sam Jones, Flash Gordon himself, is over at Ted's place. Frustrated that he can't attend, John reminds his bear friend that he is busy. Again, with not much persuasion, Ted gets John to ditch the party. Shocked over Flash Gordon's presence and invitation to do fairy dust, John decides to stay. As he sobers up, he notices the time and realizes he left Lori for the entirety of the party alone. Just as he gets ready to go back, Lori is on the other side of the door, where she makes the decision to leave him. Ted attempts to get John to join the party again, but gets told off. A week later, Rex calls Lori to his office and, taking advantage of her newly single status, asks her on a date, which she hesitantly agrees to. On the other hand, while John is sulking, he gets a visit from Ted, who tells him about Lori's date. Blaming Ted for his failed relationship, the two then get into a fight.
This is when things get as ugly as they can get.
After blowing off some steam, the pair makes up. Yay for friendship! In an attempt to help John get Lori back, Ted takes our leading man to Lori and Rex's date, which happens to be at a Rita Coolidge concert. Using his former celebrity magic, Ted lands John some time on stage, which he uses to sing to Lori. Though booed and thrown off stage, Lori appreciates the gesture, leaving Rex and walking home alone. The next day, Ted visits Lori and convinces her to give John another chance and agrees to disappear from their life for good. Now that's what I call friendship. Just as Lori leaves, the obsessive Donnie kidnaps Ted.
No, God!
With his capture, Ted learns Donnie always planned to abduct him and is shocked by the strange behavior of the father-son duo. While this is happening, Lori and John start patching things up, but their romantic moment is interrupted when Ted calls in distress. Knowing exactly where he is due to Donnie's info card, Lori and John set off on a rescue mission.
Let's do this!
Right then and there, a high-speed car chase ensues where Lori and John desperately follow the abducted Ted and kidnapper Donnie. Ted manages to break the back window and throws himself into John's car. However, due to an unfortunate maneuver, Ted finds himself back with his captors. Keen on getting himself to safety, our favorite teddy bear causes a crash, which gives him some leverage. Given his lack of height and speed, Donnie still manages to catch up, with John not so far behind him. Donnie's kid starts yelling at John, telling him that Ted is now his. Instead of wasting spit on the annoying child, John retaliates with a square punch across the kid's face, knocking him out. Well deserved. As Donnie catches up to Ted, the poor bear breaks in half and falls from a tower. John and Lori find Ted destroyed to pieces and stuffing all around him. We're guessing that's the equivalent of blood for stuffed animals. Trio says their goodbyes and tells John not to lose Lori again. Right then, Ted is no longer with us. Devastated, Lori and John pick up the remains of the bear and drive home in an attempt to sew him back up and bring him to life. With no sign of life, the pair's efforts to bring Ted back are seemingly in vain. That very same night, Lori wishes for her old life back with Ted and John. The following morning, we are granted with a surprise that Ted is back. Hooray! John thanks Lori and the couple is finally back together again. During an epilogue, John and Lori get married, officiated by Flash Gordon, of course. And Ted continues dating Tammy Lynn. The end. And that's all for today. Make sure to stay tuned, as we'll be doing Ted 2 very soon. For now, let us know in the comments what did you think of this movie, and as always, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and share it with your friends. See you next time.